I think, well, I haven't put it on my website yet, but I've been working on a budget big turbo for that car. The uh, the budget big turbo is going to be something with an adjustable wastegate and possibly an upgraded diverter valve. I'm trying to be able to get this to market for 900 bucks, which I think is pretty cheap. But again, I don't know if it's possible just yet, but I do have the first working prototype. I also have a really nice prototype aluminum radiator that's a little bit bigger than stock, but it has nice aluminum end tanks. And and you guys probably know I already started selling the Generation One intercooler system to go along with the turbo upgrade. So trying to bring some really cool stuff. Hey, what's up, Lunar? Give me one more minute. One more second. I just wanted to post in my Facebook group that I'm live. I'm trying to get the notification out to everybody. I think I'm done. I'm trying to get. I don't want to spend the whole time just sending out notifications. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. How's everybody doing? Cool. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Johnny, I try my hardest to do these live streams, but in the last, I want to say the last 6 weeks, I've just been so busy. I've been trying to make a lot of different prototypes for the Gen 1, and I had to get the Gen 2 to the dyno, and I had filming problems when I took it to the dyno. So I was a little stressed over that. I was stressed about trying to get stuff to market, and then on top of that, I still have to film, edit, and then I wanted to get I have to get like parts that people want to buy from me literally shipped out. So, I do everything on my own. So I've been pretty stressed out for the last few weeks. So doing a live stream, I pretty much forgot. uh, for me, whether it's Sunday or Tuesday, every day is a work day. So 3 weeks might go by and I'll completely forget that I haven't done a live stream because in my mind I had just done one, but really it's been a couple weeks. So my apologies, guys. I try my hardest to keep doing these. Um, we can talk about silent. I'm talking about my Gen One. I have both cars now, so I have Cruise Missile and I have Black Widow, and then Black Widow. The Black Widow build is going to be my budget big turbo build, and then one of those cars is going to transition over to a V8 swap. I'm also so I'm planning on doing a nitrous build. Then I'm planning on doing a V8 swap. Those are my big modifications that I want to do. My big builds that I want to do with those cars. What's up, Travis? What's up, Synthetic? Uh, let's see, Xavier. All right, you know what? Let me give me a sec. I'm gonna scroll back, just make sure I'm not getting any. Oh, Baby Roke. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure how to pronounce your name. Sorry. Let's see. Hey, Cameron. Oh, Silent. Oh, I should have probably known that Silent with the backwards three was you because I think you go by Silent Cameron on, is it Instagram or something like that? Let's see. What's the next big thing? Live streams are always good. The first time I missed it, I went back to check the last live. Yeah, I always keep the live streams up. That's why I want to make sure my video and audio is good. I want to give you guys as much quality as possible. So if one of the live streams has bad audio, sometimes I'll just take it down because I can't stand how it sounds. I think audio is the most important thing because even if you can't visually see me, you can at least hear what I'm talking about because I do try to read off everyone's questions so at least everybody knows what I'm talking about. What's up, UAV? Let's see. Jeff, can't wait to get my intercooler installed. So Jeff is somebody I worked with. I had another friend introduce me to him. I believe it was Travis. And through Travis, I met Jeff, and then Jeff was starting to help me with the Generation 1 intercooler system. And then what I decided to do was just buy a Generation 1 Cruise. It was a little easier because instead of me trying to figure things out through pictures, I just wanted to have an actual car in front of me. So thanks to Jeff kind of asking for an intercooler, it motivated me to actually build a system. So I worked with him, and I want to say about 10, 15 other people in the Gen 1 community to not only did I build the intercooler, but I through Jeff and through a bunch of other people, I took all of their feedback into consideration and built the intercooler the way they wanted it built. So it's literally, you can't get a better intercooler because it's literally built the way that the community wants. You know, it's just like my generation 2 intercooler, which when I started building that one, I kind of made my own. Like, I made my first version, and then through feedback on the Gen 2 community, I basically redesigned a lot of things. So my Gen 2 intercooler basically has had about 4 or 5 revisions, where my Gen 1 intercooler, the way you get it, it's already perfect. There are no revisions needed because it's basically perfect out of the box now. Let's see, Xavier. Any recommendations for an actuator for a Gen 1? Well, I actually haven't put it on the website, but if you're interested, just like for the Generation 2, I can build you a nice Mamba Tech. What I do is I'll actually get the Mamba Tech. They actually show up in pieces. I will test the actuator. I will adjust the actuator to the correct preload. I will check for leaks. I will check the spring tension. A lot of people don't realize that the actuators run off of boost pressure, not vacuum. So I'll verify that the springs actually open based on the pressure they're designed for, because that's what'll help your tuner be able to tune properly for them. Let's see. Silent. Any info about the E85 kit for Gen 2? So that was a big debate. So with E85, so Bad News Racing did a cool thing. They were the first people to really put out a tune for E85. The problem is it has to be a hard-coded tune. So you need to check your E85, the content in the 85. You want to check your alcohol content. So the problem is a lot of people don't check every time they fill up. They check maybe every other time, or they might check one gas station and constantly go back and just use the same gas station, thinking the content of the 85 is the same every time. It always isn't. When you have a flex fuel sensor, it can basically read, okay, it'll let, basically a flex fuel sensor will let you know the content level, or let you know the moisture level, because E85 is prone to actually collecting additional moisture. If you're in a state, let's say Michigan, right, where it's a little colder versus Florida where it's very hot, and you're running E85, a car in Michigan might have excessive moisture in their tank. And if you're hard-coded, just because you test your E85 today doesn't mean you'll have the same E85 tomorrow, and that's why the flex fuel sensor is important. So, Vermont Tuning does have a kit. I think they only tune for people who use their tunes with the kit. I've had people ask me to make, my own version of that, which I can. I did ask people if they want to maybe, help me prototype something. I don't know what the price would be, but I have no problem doing it. And then eventually I'm sure other tuners will come out with something, but it is important to have that sensor. Now, if I had E85 available near me, I still probably wouldn't run E85 just because there was no sensor. But if I had it available, around me, I probably would have eventually come out with a sensor or something. But now that people kind of want one, I will help everybody else get a sensor. Let's see. Jeff can't stay long. No problem. I appreciate you stopping in. Let's see. Lunar. I don't want to miss anybody. What's up, Big Brain? Silent. Yes, sir. And you helped me all day and yesterday with my turbo. Yeah. I'm happy to help. I have no problem helping anybody. I want to make sure you guys can get your cars back on the road. I try to help as much as possible, especially when you're doing a big turbo. I'm expecting that once the car is running, you're probably going to need some extra help with getting it running right after that as well. So obviously keep in touch with me. UAV. This is Mike, by the way. Hey, what's going on, Mike? How are you? Jeff, Lunar. Oh, okay. You're just saying hi, Jeff. As soon as my body kit gets here, I'll be in. So, Jeff, and anybody else that's in this live stream right now, I started doing something cool on the website. If you go to supercruises.com, I started doing a customer gallery and like a review section. So any of you guys who have purchased parts from me, whether it's a completely custom car or a stock car, I don't care. I have certain amount of slots available, so I did hand pick a few people, but I also have a gallery that I'm putting together where you can showcase your car. And there's going to be a lot of that stuff through the website, and I'm trying to do more shout outs on my videos too. So if you guys want to showcase your cars and you want to get your car out there, if you have like an Instagram handle or you have a YouTube you're trying to promote, I'll promote that through my website too. So check the website out and let me know what you guys think. I want some feedback on what I've been trying to do, but I'm really trying to give back to the cruise community as much as I can, and I thought something like that would be really cool. Let's see, Frederick. Baby Roke, top quality, 100%. Thank you. Let's see, Frederick. When you replace the clutch in your Gen 2, can you make it a video? That's the only video I've been waiting for me to make, or for you to make. So of course I'm gonna make a video if I have to change the clutch. In fact, I don't know if this is your real name or not, but I do talk to a lot of people about an upgraded clutch for the car, and I do have a couple prototype-ish things that we can use, but I haven't blown my transmission up yet. But so actually, let's talk about cruise missile for a minute. So let's say I do not do a V8 swap. I really want to do a V8 swap just because I think it's cool. But let's say I keep getting power out of the 1.4. One of the biggest holdups for me is that transmission. It's basically a non-limited slip differential. The transmission gears are, so the ratios are spread so far apart that it's almost like the transmission has three overdrives. It actually probably does have three overdrives. So the problem is when you start getting up higher in speed, the RPMs, like the engine doesn't rev as fast as it should be because the RPMs or the gear ratios are so spread out. I figured out a way to get shorter gears in my 6-speed and do a limited slip differential. If I have enough people who want me to do that kind of an upgrade, I'll invest in doing it. So that's probably a $3,000 upgrade, but it will transform the car from basically feeling like a powerful grocery getter to a straight up race car. And I have no problem doing that. And if we stick with the 4-cylinder drivetrain, I will. Not only that, the next step that I want to do is we're so close to 400 horsepower. I've been toying with the idea of maybe just throwing nitrous on the car because I've never messed with nitrous in my life. At least on my own car. I've messed with friends' cars, but I've never built a nitrous build. So I was thinking of changing over to a nitrous built car. The methanol injection with nitrous, with 93 octane. Maybe I could even put some race gas in it to really see what kind of power we can get out of this car with like everything available. And it's funny because I probably still won't use the 85 just because it's pointless fuel for me where I am. But so that's another idea that I want to do with the car. And then obviously, like, if you guys have seen in the background, I have this big V8 just chilling in the back of my shop that's doing nothing right now, and I would love to put that in cruise missile. I think it would be awesome. Hey, what's up, Poke Dubs? I like that name. Where'd you go? I just lost you. Gotta order a charge pipe this weekend. Yeah, keep in touch. If I actually have another batch of charge pipe pieces coming in, I'll be making some more. So you're definitely have good timing. Let's see, Baby Roke. I have a flex fuel, works great. Got mine from B&R. That's cool. What Baby Roke? What year is your Cruise? Is it a Generation 1? I know there's a lot of Generation 1 kits on the market, but no, not too many Gen 2. Let's see, the Moondrop Show. Oh, that's a cool name. How's it going? Lunar, would running the meth kit on 93 be more reliable? Yeah, it's perfectly fine. In fact, you can run 87 octane if you want because the methanol injection is basically just giving you. Think of it like this: it's a liquid intercooler, right? But it's also giving you more higher octane. So it's basically cheap race fuel. Just think of it like that. That's not exactly how it works, but you can think of it like that. And the good thing I like about the meth injection, I'm not trying to sell you guys on meth injection, but it's much safer to run meth injection, and I like that I can, let's say I'm running low, I have a month's supply just sitting in the shop, and let's say I run low on that, I can order it and have it delivered, or if I'm on the road somewhere, like I had to go to the hospital to get some testing done, and my red light came on, letting me know my methanol injection was low. I stopped at AutoZone and I picked up heat. Heat is a fuel additive. It's a yellow bottle. It is 100% methanol. I go get 2 or 3 bottles of those, and now I can drive home with no problem. And I get like, I don't know, 3 bottles of heat will get me like 100 miles on methanol, and it'll still give me power. It'll still cool my intake charge. Like that's what I like about it. And it, you know, and then you know what? Hey, if I really wanted to, I could just turn the system off and not beat the crap out of the car because the car's still tuned for the proper air fuel ratio, which is nice. That's why I like that type of a system. Okay, so let's see. I want to catch up on comments. Let's see. Silent. Yeah, I want to flex. Oh, Cameron. Yeah. I have had people ask me about a flex sensor, a flex fuel sensor, and I do have the thing with the flex fuel sensor for the Gen 2. There are universal sensors out there, right? But a lot of people I talk to don't even know where the sensor's supposed to go on a Gen 2 Cruise, right? I I immediately this week I started taking my car apart again, and I figured out exactly how to route a sensor like it comes on the car from the factory, and enough harness to get to the ECM so you can pin out the ECM. If I come out with a sensor, it's going to be like an OEM part. I don't like, can you build a sensor for 200 bucks, 250 bucks? Yeah. But is it going to be universal? Do you have to make stuff work? You know, is it going to be plug and play? Are you splicing things? You know, maybe a $350 sensor with a plug and play harness where you literally just you unhook your fuel rail, plug that in, you plug your harness in, and then you can plug into the pins on the ECM, which is not that simple. You do have to take the covers off the pins, and then you just pop it in with no headaches. That's kind of what I want to provide people if I decide to go that route. And you know, anybody who sells any kind of a kit like that, I'm hoping it would be that simple for everyone. Let's see. St. Jonah, what's up? Hey, how's it going? I'm glad you're here. Bo, what's going on? A 6.2 or a 5.3 in a 1500 Silverado? Well, they're both the L. I think the ones you're looking for are the LT engine family. I personally like smaller V8s because I think they sound nicer. They have more of a higher pitched sound to them. The larger engines have more of a deeper sound. They're both good. The 6.2, I think when it's a truck engine, it's more about torque than it is horsepower. They're both great. I know when I had my 4.8 in my Silverado, I was still getting and I beat the crap out of that truck, and I was still getting 17 miles to a gallon. I would imagine the 5.3 probably gets better mileage than the 6.2, but they're both V8s, and they both make like 350 foot-pounds of torque plus, I think, something like that. I like both, but with the 5.3, you'll get a smoother suspension and probably better gas mileage, a nicer sounding engine, and you can probably pay a little bit less for the truck. That's my 2 cents. I always buy the smaller V8 just because I like them. Lunar. Hey, Travis, I appreciate you donating. Thank you. Travis is good people. I talk to him. Well, I try to talk to him every day. So if none of you guys know Travis, you should. He's a really fun guy to talk to. He has a unique sense of humor, and I probably can't repeat anything we talk about because I'll get demonetized immediately and the video will get flagged. Travis is definitely an MVP, that's for sure. Let's see. Real quick. All right, Lunar. Wait. I'm missing someone. Hold on. Let's see. Wait, I'm sorry. Oh, guys, I missed a bunch of you. Hold on a sec here. Let's see. St. Jonah, Bo. Okay, Lunar recoils. 350 horsepower out of a 1.4 reliably would be amazing. I'll take it. Well, so if you call my dyno, my recent dyno sheets were just under 450 horsepower, but were like 360 foot-pounds of torque. But, I mean, obviously my car has a lot of modifications. It's not your everyday car. But in my eyes, everything is reliable on it so far. I haven't done any oddball modifications I don't want to talk about anything the EPA would flag this video for, but you guys know what kind of modifications you could do to a car. When you get into that kind of stuff, that's where things become unreliable, because then you have to worry about exhaust temperatures. Then you might do something where you might alter your air fuel ratio, and then you have to watch your air fuel ratios. So the reason my car is reliable is a few things. Like in my videos, you guys see that I always, no matter what, if you're doing modifications to a car, I want you to have a wideband air fuel ratio sensor, or a wideband air fuel ratio gauge. So on my car, I have one right on the dashboard, because you know what? Let's say my fuel pump starts going bad, or my methanol injection isn't pumping. I know I have some lights and stuff that'll let me know, but let's say you didn't know. Well, guess what? If the car starts running lean, my sensor and my gauge will let me know. So there's a certain reliability that also is you learning about these things that you do to your car. So before you make any modifications, the first thing I tell anyone is just get a wideband air fuel ratio gauge, because you could have a tune done and not realize that your air fuel ratio is off, and you can blow an engine. And it's whose fault is it now at this point? It could be, is it the tuner that you chose? Is it your fault? Maybe the tuner tuned for something he thought you had and actually didn't, or maybe the tuner tuned for something that you changed, or a part went bad. At least if you have that air fuel ratio gauge, you'll be able to catch things early, and you won't have a blown engine. Or some people, you might not get a blown engine, but you might end up damaging something internally that's not a non-running car, but now the engine makes some weird tick, or some weird knocking, or some weird noise, or something that you have to deal with for the life of the car. It's going to drive you crazy. So longevity is, I don't know, relative or subjective, I guess, or reliability is subjective. I guess that's the way to think about it. Let's see, Bo. Speaking of gear swaps, these 292s in the G8 are awful. Looking for a 345 Camaro diff. Yeah, and I've always been a fan of 373s. In fact, I think there's going to be a couple G8 videos on the YouTube channel, because I've been working on a couple friends' cars in my shop, and one of them has this insane engine with this crazy transmission. I mean, this thing chirps gears just shifting normal down the road. And I think he has 373s, because you can sort of hear the differential working, and it's a strong diff. 373s are nice too. I wonder if you can just get doing differential gear swap is actually not that hard. I don't know if you have to swap out the entire Camaro diff, or you can just get the gears and change the gears in the pumpkin. I've always thought it was easier just to swap out the gears in the pumpkin, but I also have experience rebuilding differentials, so that's why it's easy to me. You know what, Bo? Keep in touch, because I'm curious about you doing that swap. I want to help you out with it. Let's see, Richard. Dave, watching from Modesto, California. Hey, I'm glad. I try to do 7 o'clock so I can try and see everybody. I know a couple people in my Discord, especially Jeffrey, kept missing me because I was doing these at like 10 a.m., but it was like like 7 a.m. by you guys. So I'm trying the best I can to do this for everyone. Let's see. Finally had a little rain 2 days now, so looks hopeful. Now going to need to watch the water and be a lamb on the roads. I like that. Let's see, Xavier. You ever make an exhaust for Gen 1 or Gen 2? Will I ever? I can. Yeah, so I have no problem making any part for anyone. In fact, I really enjoy it. I love making custom parts. It's just a matter of it. So for me to build an exhaust system that's replicatable to where more than one person want it, and then being able to ship it and keep it on a budget, that's the hard thing. I have to do a couple of them in order to get the cost down. So what I've been trying to do with everybody now is, let's say there's 5 of you that all want an exhaust system for your car. Come together and let me know, and I can build 5 custom exhaust systems for someone. And then we could figure out a price to where, instead of it just being one expensive exhaust, it's 5 cheaper exhaust systems. And that's the best way for me to be able to do that for everyone, if you can. I mean, I'm not saying you have to, but I'm just saying that's an easier way to do it. And who knows, if you want me to build you a one-off system, I have no problem doing that. I think somebody just donated. Lunar, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's awesome. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys donating. It's definitely a massive help. I can't stress enough. What's the word? So I love doing YouTube because I get to meet everybody and I get to talk to everyone and I make lots of friends, and it's very, and I love the social aspect, but the actual funding source of YouTube doesn't really do much. I actually need everyone's support to keep this going, and stuff like this goes a long way, especially since you guys are members. Don't basically having a membership and being part of my membership, being part of my inner circle. Like everybody who's in the membership is part of my inner circle. You guys are as close to me as my own family and friends, and I really appreciate the support. That doesn't mean just being a subscriber isn't enough. I mean, being a subscriber, watching my videos, I absolutely love it. I keep making the videos because you guys are all important to me. But financially, I do have to make some kind of money so I can keep doing this for a living, and I do appreciate these donations. Thank you. All right, so silent. Let's see. Silent. Will my car be as fast as my G8? Well, if you get your car to the right modifications, at least, like for example, my CRUZE in third gear from 40 miles an hour to like 80 miles an hour, I'm pretty sure is faster than a lot of the V8s I own, except for my Corvette because that has a huge supercharger on it. So I'm pretty sure you can get your car as fast as the G8. Especially if your G8 stock, I would say the stock G8 something like 340 horsepower or something like that. I think you can do it. With the right modifications, you can do it, especially if you go with methanol injection. Let's see. Lunar, my last question. Let's see, Lunar. My last question. LOL. We have talked about it before. Custom manifold so we can go big turbo and make easy power. Yes. So I am in the works of getting flanges. All right. So here's what I'm doing. I have to upgrade my welder. I currently have an arc welder, which uses a flux core. So flux, basically what happens is when you're welding, you don't want too much oxygen around the metal while you're welding. So I use a flux core welder because it's cheaper. I don't have to go and get gas. I just get wire from Home Depot and I'm done. But the problem with that is the flux is what removes oxygen from the equation. So it leaves this white powder on everything. And I know you're probably going to joke when I say that. The white powder basically turns into oxidization and can turn into rust if it's not cleaned properly. So if I were going to make a manifold, I want to make a higher quality manifold, so I want to upgrade my welding equipment, and that's probably going to cost me about $3,000. So I'm going to be building a Mustang that I'm just going to let everybody know I'm doing it now. It's just been sitting on the property. I haven't touched it. I was going to build a twin turbo setup on that car, and I wanted to upgrade my welding equipment for that and making a few custom pieces that don't exist. So I plan on doing that. I just haven't budgeted the $3,000 to get this stuff to be able to weld, like TIG and MIG weld, and be able to have a higher quality metal part or a steel part or an aluminum. So I want to upgrade that before we start doing it, but that is on my list of parts. Yes. Yes, G8 talk. I love talking G8. So UAV. So my website, my main website is supercruises.com. So I mostly do cruise parts, but since 2003 I've been building brake kits. A lot of people in the G8 world know me as like the Brembo guy. I'm the brake guy. So since the 2008, actually since the GTO from 2004 first came out, I started figuring out how to get Brembo calipers on that car. Then the G8 became a big thing. The G8 came out after, and the GXP came out with Brembos, but it didn't come out in the rear. So I was one of the first guys to sell rear Brembo brake kits to add Brembos to the front and rear on that car. Then I got popular with the Chevy SS. The 2014 didn't come with the rear Brembo. So I started making kits to put the Brembos on that car. So now it's evolved into G8brakes.com. So if you go to that site, you can see literally a decade's worth of samples on that site. And I have video. That's why there's so much. You know what's funny? That's why there's G8 and Chevy Cruze content on my channel, plus like my Cobra. My Cobra is just a dream car. But primarily G8s and Cruzes are my two favorite vehicles. And a lot of people don't realize both of those cars originate in Australia from Holden. So we wouldn't have the Chevy Cruze if it weren't for Holden. We wouldn't have the G8. Like the Chevy Cruze was originally a Holden Cruze. The G8 was originally the Holden Commodore. The GTO was originally the Holden Monaro. I have a Chevy SS, which is the Generation 5 Holden Commodore. So people don't realize that like the G8 here was a one generation car, but in Australia it was like a four generation car. So that's why you see a mix of all these weird cars because they all originated from Holden. So I have on my property now that I'm working on, I have a couple G8s which are friends' cars, my Chevy SS, my GTO, two Cruzes. They're all Holdens, and that's why you see in the back of my shop. Next time you're watching a video, you'll see there's a metal Australia with a lion, and that's actually the Holden emblem. But unfortunately, Holden was shut down. I want to say about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, because just something with the government. I don't know, just something going on over there, some fishy stuff, and they couldn't keep the doors open anymore. But it was one of the best companies ever. So just to give you guys a little bit G8, little G8 history. Let's see if your G8 is stock and full weight. Yeah, so Lunar, you brought up a good point. So I do a lot of testing with the G8 and the CRUZE, especially with brake tests. So with the G8, right, it weighs something like, it's like 340 horsepower, and I want to say it weighs about 3,800 pounds. And then the Chevy SS is 415 horsepower stock, and that weighs about 4,100 pounds. A Chevy Cruze with like 350 horsepower, that car only weighs like 3,100 pounds. So it is entirely feasible that that car might be faster in the right situation. If you're basically dead stopped and you have both cars next to each other and you take off on a drag strip, the G8's probably going to win. But if you're on a highway and a G8 comes up to a Chevy Cruze that's modified enough, that Chevy Cruze is going to leave the G8 in the dust just because of the way it puts the power down. I can almost guarantee that if we ever tried to put it together. I'm sorry, pin the cars together in a video or something. But yeah, so I agree with that 100%. Travis, again, I just came past your donation. I really appreciate that. Lunar, Travis inbox. Yeah, like I'm telling you, Travis is great. Well, you guys are all great. Anybody, it's great. I talk to a lot of you through like Facebook and on my Discord, but I try to do live streams just so I can have everybody meet each other, because I would love it if you guys get together and start hanging out more. In fact, in my Facebook messages, I did start doing, I have a couple different like actual group messages where I invited like customers and friends, and I'm trying to get everyone to interact together so I don't have to actually go on Facebook as much. I just like being able to talk to everybody directly or hang out with a group of people so I don't have to deal with like the public people who have, comments that no one might like if they say something dumb or fights, stuff like that. I try to stay away. But at least in the group chats, I get to actually have a conversation where I feel like I could just be myself, which is nice. And even here, like I'm myself now too, even though I'm trying to read comments and talk, and I'm a little distracted. I try to be myself. Let's see. Why do I need a name? I love your screen name, by the way. You have the best one. Let's see. Why do I need a name? I love my AEM series air fuel ratio gauge. It reacts so fast. Yeah, that's a great one. The X series is I believe it's the thinner one. A regular gauge is usually about 2 inches long, and it's the diameter of the gauge. But your style is shorter. It's like it has a really short body. It's more digital, and I think it has like a computer board inside versus the other styles that have like a resistor. So that's why it's faster. I think it's completely digital, even though it might have a needle or something. Let's see, Bo. Been looking to get. Oh, I think that autocorrect. Oh, gauges. Okay, I've been looking to get a gauge for my G8, one that reads a few things at the same time. So, Bo, here's the problem with those multi gauges. If you get like an Aeroforce, right? It will show you air fuel ratio. It will show you, engine temperatures. It will show you probably 0 to 60. It will show you, G meter. Your car's acceleration. But when it comes to air fuel ratio, it's only going to display what the computer wants it to display because it's OBD2 powered. So, for example, it's probably going to show you a rich or a lean number, but it's only going to show you what the computer's commanding. It's not going to show your actual air fuel ratio coming out of your cylinders. That's why I always recommend specifically a dedicated wideband, at least for people doing engine modifications, because if you're reading with one of those gauges commanded air fuel ratio, it's just letting you know what the computer wants. It's not letting you know what's actually coming out of the engine. So that's what makes those a little dangerous. Though Aeroforce is the best one, when it comes to air fuel ratio, just be mindful it's not accurate. I just want everybody to know that. Lunar, I just came past your donation again. I just want to say thank you again. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Silent. I want an LSX supercharger. LSA supercharger. Yeah. The LSA is awesome. You know what's funny? About 3 years ago, I had 3 of those, and I actually sold 3 of them. I should have just held on to one for my Chevy SS. On my, I don't know if you guys have caught my, I started filming a wide-body Corvette series, and I realized later in life that a lot of people didn't like the car because I had a custom nose on it. I did convert the car to a extreme wide body, and I changed the nose to a real ZR1 nose, so I got rid of that C7 fake nose. My point is if you guys want, I will make more videos on the Corvette, and it'll actually look more like a Corvette and less like a kit car. And I do have a Roots type supercharger on that car. If you guys want to see more about superchargers, let me know. In the supercharger world, I want to say, let's see, I'm 40 now. I'm going to be 40. I'm 39. So back when I was like 20 was when I built my first supercharger system. So when it comes to brakes, superchargers, and turbochargers, those are like the 3 big things that I love doing on cars. So if you guys ever want to talk supercharger, feel free to ask any questions whatsoever. Let's see, Lunar. Brother, the cruise world is revolving around you. Oh, I appreciate that. If you notice, every other company has gave up on the platform. Even ZZP won't make parts for the Gen 2. Yeah. They have given up on the cruise. And, I guess... I mean, they have every right to, I guess, because the cruise is discontinued. But I don't see... Here's the way I see cars, right? I don't care if a company stopped making a car. If you want a custom part for a car, I'll make it. For example, my favorite car is my 2005 GTO, right? It's what are we at now? 17 years old. The car's 17 years old. It's impossible to get parts for. If somebody were to rear end me now, a bumper might be $2,000. The little valance on the bottom of the car that says GTO on it, that piece is probably $1,000. And when the car was new, it was frowned upon because everyone said it looked like a Cavalier and it had a V8 in it, right? It's a Cavalier with a V8. It wasn't special enough looking. But when you get inside the car, the interior from the factory is so nice that people think I had it custom interiored. It has a red leather interior. I have a custom racing stripe on it. I have a Brembo brake kit on the car. There's some little bit of engine work done, not much, but just a little bit to make it more enjoyable. And you know what? Even though it's 17 years old and Pontiac doesn't exist anymore, if you contact me and you say, Dave, I want a custom brake kit, or I want a custom graphic, or how can I make my interior look like yours? I'm going to make parts for your car, because even though it's not a brand new car and Pontiac doesn't exist anymore, that car is an amazing car. I don't care what anyone says. Even old does not mean bad. There's a reason that a 1967 Ferrari GTO is $3 million. It's probably more than that now. The car, even though it's old, they still drive amazing. There's a reason a Ferrari F50 is a $2 million car. There's a reason a Shelby Cobra is, a $4 million. Actually, it's probably more than that. Some Shelby Cobras are upwards of like $10 million. Old doesn't mean bad. In fact, there's no fun cars for sale right now. Like I grew up in a time where when I was a kid, there was always some special Camaro, some special Cadillac, some special sports car. There's always something cool coming out that you would want to sell your old car to buy. But nowadays, there's nothing fun. What's fun, right? You can't get a V8 with a manual in anything anymore unless it's in a European car, and if that, it has to be, maybe an exotic car. And what are you paying? $100,000 for something with a manual? You can't get, I don't even know what you can get anymore that's V8 manual. I don't think there's anything. But you can go get yourself a 2005 GTO with a manual. You can find a what else? GXP with a manual. I mean, there's a reason a GXP, a 2008 GXP is almost $40,000. Nobody makes a four-door manual V8 powered car, you know. And again, I'm not discrediting other cars because, like, for example, I also have a Miata. Right, the thing has about 150 horsepower, and my Miata is a four-cylinder, and it's, you know what? It's from 2001. It's more fun than probably the new Miata. New Miata might be a little faster. I don't even think you can get them in manual anymore. There's just something about an old convertible manual four-cylinder. You go throw a turbo kit or a supercharger kit on it, and it makes it more fun. Why not still make parts for the car? I don't care. Even if they discontinued the Miata, I would still want to make parts for that car because it's a good car. Old doesn't mean bad. Okay, sorry, I don't want to keep ranting on stuff. So Silent, it's 400 horsepower. Oh, you're talking about your G8. Wait, hold on, Alex. Let's go to Alex first. How's it going? I figured out that whistle coming from the CRUZE. It ended up being my BPV leaking. Yeah, that's very common. The specifically the I think the orange O-ring. I think it's an orange O-ring. It either cracks, or if you have like an OEM one, it's the black O-ring. And sometimes when you take it off and put it back on, the O-ring just doesn't sit right. That does happen a lot, actually. Silent, I think you're talking about your G8. It's 400 wheel horsepower. That's some good horsepower. You're probably 480 crank at that point. You have a BTR Stage 2, DOD delete. I definitely want to cruise with an FBO. FBO. I have to think about what that means. Big turbo, engine intercooler to hopefully be able to keep up with that boat. FBO, front blow-off valve? No. FBO. I can't think right now. I can't think about what that is. Let me know what that means, by the way. It's probably so simple, too, and I can't think of it. Bo, might be interested in a turbo kit from you for the G8. I would absolutely love to do that. In fact, we've talked about that a bunch of times. Lunar. Oh, yeah, Vauxhall. So Vauxhall. So think of Vauxhall when it comes to Holden. Vauxhall and Holden. So think of Holden as Chevrolet. Think of Vauxhall as their Pontiac. That's pretty much what Vauxhall was, or Vauxhall. And just so, for example, in Australia, you can get a Holden. So the HOLDEN Commodore in Australia is the Vauxhall. I can't think of the name right now, but in like England, it would be the Vauxhall. So I can't think of the name of like what the Commodore would be, but that's basically how that worked. I think. I could be wrong. I'm usually okay with my Holden history. Bo, I've got the BTR Stage 2 dynoed at 440. Oh, that's just some good numbers. And you still have the what is in your car? The 6-liter. I think G8 comes with a 6-liter iron block. It's not the LS. It's like an LQ engine. It's almost like a truck engine. Scarecrow, what's going on? I'm glad you can make it. Silent Bo, headers is what I need. I have the intake too. Forgot about that. Oh, they're talking about G8s, which go ahead and talk all the G8s you guys want. I love them. By the way, Silent, a friend of mine, Joe LaBruza, he owns a website called g8only.com. He is a he's a Cook's reseller. So if you're looking for stuff like that, go to G8 only, or if you want, remind me later. I'll tag you in some G8 pages that I'm on, so I can hook you up with some parts. There's a lot of I'm in a lot of G8 pages. I don't know if you're in the same ones, but I can probably find somebody who has that exhaust for you. And just so everyone knows, the Cook's exhaust is carb legal. So before the EPA goes crazy, some headers are carb legal, and they're perfectly legal to buy. Lunar. Dave, do you have air fuel ratio gauge on your page and a video on how to install it? I have one video in my Big Turbo series on how to install the air fuel ratio gauge. So what I'm thinking of doing is re-releasing some of these videos outside of the playlist so you guys can find them specifically, and maybe shorter versions. And I don't have an air fuel ratio gauge on my website specifically, but in the video for the air-fuel ratio gauge, I have links to 3 different air-fuel ratio gauges that I recommend on my YouTube channel. Let's see. Scarecrow. 0 fart can Corolla versus 1 Cruise in oh. Are you saying you went to Mexico and raced the Corolla? And I'm very glad the Corolla lost. You know what's funny about the Generation 2 Cruise? I had people tell me, why would I waste money getting my car to the power that it's at? This is why. It is a sexy car. If I go to a dealership right now, if I go to Honda, I go to Toyota, or I go to Volkswagen. Those are the 3 big, 4-cylinder, 4-door companies. Oh, and by the way, manual cars, you can get a Honda and you can get a Toyota with a manual turbo, which is great. You just can't get a V8 with a turbo, or I'm sorry, a V8 with a manual. But if you look at the new Honda, you have the Acura Integra, I think, the Honda Civic, the Toyota Corolla, you have the GR, the Toyota GR, which actually is a nice looking car, and the Volkswagen Jetta and the Golf. All of those are ugly to me. But if you look at the Chevy Cruze, I think if you put all of them in a row, I think the Cruze stands out as being the nicest looking car. So what do? Do I buy an ugly Honda Civic that has 300 horsepower? Or do I buy a really nice looking Cruze that has 100 horsepower, 120 horsepower, and I just put a couple grand into it and I make it faster? I'd much rather have the Cruze because I think it's a much nicer car. That's just my 2 cents. And it could be because I'm a Chevy guy, but there's a reason I like Chevy. I like the way they style things. Not to mention I'm a huge Chevy fan. Let's see, Baby Roke. I have the Air Force One, the Air Force One. It works great from B&R as well. Oh, the Air Force. So the Air Force One. Here's the thing, though. When you're Aero Force, I think it's Aero Force One. When you're using it, what I've noticed, I don't know about that one, but other ones, the OBD2 style, I've noticed when you're full throttle, right, it just goes right to, let's say, a 12-to-1 air-fuel ratio or an 11-to-1 air-fuel ratio. But a wideband will actually show you live. What you should see is the gauge going lean, or lean is actually a higher number. So you should see it probably go from like a 14 and then work its way down to about an 11, depending on the car, right? 11 or a 12. Something like an Aeroforce might just straight up read 11 and stop and just stay there because it's commanded air fuel ratio. That's the problem with it. Let me know if that's how it works, because everyone I've tested with people, they've confirmed that that's sort of how theirs works, but I don't know how many people are using the Aeroforce. Truck World, how's it going? How you been? Yes, my Cruze still has catalytic converters. My car is completely legal, and that's where people don't realize things. If you're watching if you're watching like video number 5 out of like 2 video series, right? And you see that my car is making the power it makes. What people don't know is what's done to it. The car's completely street legal. There's no internal engine modifications. There's no emissions that were removed from the car. The catalytic converters are still on the car, the factory catalytic converters. There's no modifications done to the O2 sensors. It still has factory mufflers. The only thing I changed exhaust-wise was the tail, the exhaust tips on the car. Just for looks. The car's quiet. I mean, you can hear in all my videos the car's quiet. So my car is a street legal car making a lot of horsepower. Now, in order for me to get to the next horsepower level, I do have to make some changes, but I'm finding a way to do it legally. I want carb legal parts on the car. There are other people out there that claim to have a lot of power, which they probably do, but how many of them have no exhaust? I mean, there's a lot of people that have no catalytic converters, that have no mufflers, that are, they might have metal protection, but, or they'll have like, intake spacers, and they'll have, what else are they doing? Well, there's no EGR valves, don't exist anymore, but some cars, people remove EGR valves. I mean, there's lots of stuff, right? But a lot of those cars are illegal. You can't go to inspection and pass emissions or just a visual, just like in California, right? You roll up in California with no catalytic converter, they'll impound your car. I'm pretty sure. I mean, there's people here that are from California. You guys can confirm this. So you have to have a carb legal part. In fact, California's so bad that a factory, what is it, the new Nissan, I think it's like a red line or something, I forget what the exact car is, but like factory cars are getting pulled over and impounded because they're too loud in California. So just to give you an idea of like my car, if it were brought to California, well, except for maybe the methanol injection, should be able to get through inspection, I'm pretty sure. And that's what I'm going for. I'm going for something that I can drive every day and not have to worry. Let's see. Cook's discontinued. Cook's discontinued. So the Cook's headers are discontinued. They're going to be spendy. Probably. There are some companies out there like Joe. Even though Cook's is discontinued, Joe may actually have some. He does have a warehouse, so you might get lucky. It is good to send him. He might have some of the carb legal ones. You have to talk to him because I'm all about street legal. Like you'll never see my cars with no catalytic converters and no mufflers. I just don't do that. Let's see. Discontinued their non-cat stuff because of the government. Oh, non-cat, yeah, but Cook's does have. They do have high flow cat versions with carb legal headers. Hey, what's up? What's up? Where's the 10 millimeter? I assume that's either Ed. It's probably Ed. What's going on, Ed? Is it Ed or Eric? I'm pretty sure it's Ed. It might be Eric too. They both are on the same channel. It's Ed. What's it going? How's it going, Ed? Silent Cameron. Bo. Yeah, it sucks. It does suck. Yeah, I mean the EPA is taking the fun out of stuff, but at the same time, it's because people do a lot of dumb things and they post it on YouTube and they post it on Facebook and they get everyone in trouble. It's just the nature of the beast. If you constantly post stuff that's illegal on social media, eventually somebody who works for the government is going to see that. Excuse me, guys. Let's see, silent. You had any of your door latchers fall? They're talking about G8 stuff, but I'll read it out loud. You had any of your door latchers fail? And yeah, that's what I've been hoping for. Last time when I was in the yard, dude said they go fast, but they rarely get them in. I think you guys are talking about headers. Let's see. Oh, full bolt on. I totally could have thought about that. By the way, if anybody's tuning in now, I couldn't remember what FBO meant. And it's because I'm trying to do a live stream and I'm reading it. It totally skipped my mind. I probably could have guessed FBO meant full bolt on if I weren't on a live stream right now. That's funny. L76. Oh, so the L76. That's the cast iron 6-liter, I believe, right? Let's see, Bo. Yeah, we got the L76. It's an LS2 with LS3 heads. That's pretty cool. Bo. My daily is an 06 Monte Carlo and it has that 3.9. What do you think of that? Hold on. I just want to thank... Oh, Bo, you just gave me a donation. I appreciate that. And Silent, you gave me a donation. I really appreciate you guys. I especially since I talk to you guys all the time and it's nice. Well, you guys are friends, and I appreciate that. And I really appreciate you guys even donating. Thank you. Supporting me, it means a lot. You have no idea. Bo, my daily is an 06 Monte Carlo, which I love, by the way, and it has the 3.9. What do I think of that engine? I really like it, especially since I think you can get a supercharger that fits that car. It's funny. When I was in high school, those were the cars that were the new cars on the road. Well, no, I graduated high school in, I want to say, like 2001. So, I mean, these cars were, that generation of car was what was around when I just got my license, and I would see them on the road, and they're just a soft spot in my heart for anything from like 1999 to 2010. Though that's my favorite. How everybody loves 60s cars or 70s cars or 80s cars? My favorite generation of cars are like 1999 to like 2010. So anything in that range, like an 06 Monte, especially if it's an Intimidator Monte Carlo SS, that's the V8 Dale Earnhardt edition. Especially since I know how to get Brembos on that car. Those cars are awesome, and those engines were amazing. Back then, those were the 6-cylinders to have. Those were the ones that you can get the supercharger. You can some guys back then were getting like 400 horsepower out of those cars, and back then 400 horsepower might as well have been 1,000 horsepower, especially since those cars only weighed like 3,000 pounds. Why do I need a name? My car will fail all inspections. Don't publicly tell me what you did to it, but that's funny. Let's see. Truck World, you could put a bigger size exhaust pipes and a bigger catalytic converter, and it's less restrictive. So that's the idea. What I'm going to be doing is getting a carb legal high flow catalytic converter, and I'm going to make a downpipe for the turbo that's a legal carb legal downpipe. I just don't know what the rules are. So I don't know what the rules are with something that starts out as one thing that's carb legal and then it's not the same thing anymore. So I just don't know, and that's why it takes me time to put videos out, because I'm trying to find the safest way to do things so no one gets in trouble. I don't want people in the car community to get in trouble. I just don't want you guys out there cutting exhaust systems off cars. I don't even like it when somebody goes on Facebook and they're sitting there talking about putting on a downpipe or how do you gut a catalytic converter. That is the biggest mistake. One of these days, the government's going to see you say that, and they might be coming after you for, oh, hey, by the way, you remember back in 2015 when you put pictures up about gutting a catalytic converter? Who's stopping them from doing that? No one. And even if you can't, even if it's something that was legal back then, they might come after you in 2030 or something like that because of something you said in the past. I'll never do that. Even my entire life, I don't think I've ever talked about removing mufflers and gutting catalytic converters publicly. I would never do that. In fact, I never do that to my own cars. Even my Shelby Cobra, which is a 60s replica, it has a 4.6 fuel injected V8 in it with 2 catalytic converters. Even my side pipes, I have catalytic converters in the engine bay. Even that car has cats on it. You could still have fun and be street legal, you know. Hey Robert, how's it going? I appreciate you coming in and I appreciate you supporting me. Thanks for saying nice words about the videos. I try my hardest to make them as entertaining as possible, even though the YouTube algorithm drives me crazy. It keeps me stressed out constantly. Hey, what's going on, Jeff? Let's see. I forgot it started at 6 my time. Oh, that's okay. That's fine. You're here now. I try to do these live streams for about an hour, which we're coming up to about the hour mark. So if we're still having a good conversation, I'll keep it going. Bo, have a nice night. If you hopped off already, my apologies. I don't see these in real time, so I'm trying to catch up to all the questions. Jeff, literally all day today, it was in my mind. That's fine. You're here now. I'm happy. Silent. My woman had a Grand Prix GXP 5.3 liter. Oh, somebody hit her? I'm sorry to hear that. That's a really nice car. Though that's one of those cars that you didn't realize had a V8 when you were younger, and it would probably blow the doors off a lot of cars. Even though, well, look, I'm talking about back then. That's probably like a 2007, 2008 model car. Back then, something with a V8 under the hood with it was probably only 300 horsepower. That was considered a fast car back then. Even though nowadays, a 2-liter engine has that same kind of horsepower. Let's see. Silent. Also, my car would fail in other states, but Arizona. Arizona's not strict. That's pretty cool. Why do I need a name? CRUZE exhausts don't make fun pops with the cat. That's true. That is very true. In fact, I think if you're running a crackle tune, you have to have a downpipe because the crackle tune will pretty much destroy a catalytic converter. When you're running a crackle tune, what basically happens is you're igniting fuel basically outside the cylinder. That's why you're getting those pops. That's if you're running a crackle tune. Sometimes just not having a cat makes the engine pop on decel, which is normal. Like a regular deceleration pop is normal, but the crackle tune kind of makes it happen at the wrong time. Let's see, Truck World. Is there any way of cleaning cats without removing it? No, I don't think so. So the reason your catalytic converter, well, I assume what's happening is your catalytic converter probably smells like rotten eggs. That's basically, what is that again? Sulfur. That's sulfur buildup. Think of it like a filter that's clogged. That's basically what's happening. And Jeff, a crackle tune is just another way to gut a cat. Yeah, it's just the electronic way of doing it, or it's I don't even know how to say that. What's the best way of doing that? It's let nature take its course way of doing it. Truck World. My GMC Sierra cats are clogged. That's actually a common problem on the '04 style GM truck. What's the best way to do this? They do make a product that can clean a cat. You just have to take the cat off to do it. The problem is on an '04 GMC, the exhaust is probably corroded and rotted. So that's what makes it hard because once you get it off, it might not go back on. That's where if you get a butt joint band clamp for the exhaust, so basically imagine like a big band-aid and you use high temperature silicone, you can cut the pipe, clean the cat, put the pipe back where it belongs, and then use high temperature silicone with the butt joint band clamp, and that should seal it up. That should seal it up good, and that way it won't leak. That is a way of doing it if you have the tools. Let's see. I've sprayed a bunch with my Crackle Tune, and it makes some nice pops. Auxiliary fuel into. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's fun. Truck World. Sorry, my work truck, not mine. Yeah, you work on a farm, right? If memory serves, so I would imagine that it's probably a situation where the truck doesn't get driven on the highway a lot, which is probably why the cat's clogged up. Something that sits around in a high moisture area that never really is driven on a long trip, that'll actually make catalytic converters go bad because they very rarely probably get to their operating temperature, which I think average catalytic converter is like 900 degrees or something like that. If they never get up to 900 degrees from pushing the engine, then they're not really working that great. Let's see, I've ran a Crackle Tune for about 80,000 miles with no issues. Well, yeah. So you are running a Crackle Tune, but we can't discuss other things on this live stream that might have to happen with the car that you don't have on the car. There's other parts you change to make it work without a problem. And I don't want to say it publicly. So Jeff, me on my way to get a Crackle Tune now. That's great. You have a Malibu, so I don't think I've ever heard a Malibu with a Crackle Tune, which is pretty cool. Let's see, why do I need a name? I had a product I put in my gas tank, and the engine lights stopped coming on after running it. Oh, cool. Oh, that's probably a good idea because it's a sulfur buildup. So I wonder if it probably is designed to turn into another kind of chemical in the exhaust gases, which will clean it out. I didn't even think of that actually. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. So, guys, we're pretty much at about an hour. I try to keep these at about an hour long. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask them now. If not, I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone. But I do appreciate everybody coming on tonight. I haven't done these in a while, and you guys donating are awesome. I really appreciate that. Thank you. This was a great night tonight. I love talking about G8s. Oh, the moon drop. Hey, I was just about to sign off tonight. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate that. Wait, what was that say? Jeff, you had said someone in the Ecotech Discord has a 2.0 Malibu with a straight pipe exhaust and a Crackle Tune. That's cool. If that's who I think it is, I'm actually building an intercooler system for their 2.0 Malibu. If it's red, that's the car. I'm curious if that's who you're talking about. Truck World. Yeah, my memory is right, and that's what I was thinking because it seems like the airflow is bad. Yeah, you know what? I know you're younger. No, you have your license, so you can drive. But I wonder if that truck actually has road papers on it to where you can take it off the farm. If you could take it on a really long drive, that might actually start cleaning out those cats. It might be possible. Oh, it's a black Malibu? Oh, I didn't know you guys got another Malibu in the group. I have to check his car out. That's pretty cool. I know the red one, I don't want to say his name because he might not want to be public. He's the one I'm building an intercooler system for. And I have another friend locally that has a Malibu, so I'm going to test fit it on his car before I ship it out. Big, ugly 19-inch rims. So whoever owns that car, I'm sorry. If you have big, ugly, and 19-inch rims, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we just said that. Okay, guys, so I'm probably going to sign off tonight. I really appreciate everybody coming. Thanks again, everyone. And if you have a last-minute question, ask it now. I don't see anything much coming in through, so... All right. Thanks again, everybody. Have a very nice day.